Thank you for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So, here I would start with Elon Musk. Exactly a month ago, he became a trillionaire. In 2020, he was a billionaire. After 5 years, he became a trillionaire. So, the amount of time and money that we are investing here is for 1 minute, it's 1 million. So, that is the amount of funding that I need for my project, for the research work that I have done. So, I welcome you all to my presentation. So, my topic is rural tourism for inclusive rural development and sustainability. So, here I have come up with my topic so that we have a holistic approach and an integrated approach how we can conserve our biodiversity, our natural resources, our indigenous communities, and sustain it for our future generations. So, we see that nowadays tourism has become an activity wherein the urban people come to rural areas and a lot of pollution is there, urban migration is there. So here I've taken the case study of Telangana, the Telangana Indigenous Living Heritage and Ecosystem Mission. This is I am Kavita. I've done my MBA in rural management, and my guide is Dr. Manohar Naidu. Here, my project is aligned with 11 Sustainable Development Goals. So, the 11 Sustainable Development Goals: no poverty, good health and well being, quality education, gender equality, decent work and economic growth, reduced inequalities, sustainable cities and communities, responsible consumption and production, climate action, life on earth, partnership for the goals. So here I've tried to depict a holistic view of sustainable tourism. This is a complete cycle wherein how you conserve the environment, how you conserve the resources, and how this income comes back to the society. So this is the experience that we want to give to our tourists, the authentic experience of the villages, the culture, the tradition, and then they spend on the handicraft, the services, the local indigenous art forms, and this helps to generate the income and employment. So the livelihood is generated through rural employment, and this income flows for the development of this sustainable rural tourism. So this helps them to exchange the knowledge, to share the knowledge, and for their overall growth and improvement. So, this development helps to conserve the communities and culture. And this is how the villages attract more visitors through this model, and the cycle continues. So, the impact would be community, how the communities prosper, how they can preserve the culture and environment is conserved, and there's an inclusive and a sustainable growth model. So there are certain challenges that the current rural areas or the current society is facing. I have clubbed them into six. So currently we have weak infrastructure, lack of access, lack of affordability, and a lot of urbanization we see. And thus people from rural areas are migrating to urban areas because of lack of facilities. So the education, the skill development, and the community participation is low, and we see a lot of pollution, environmental challenges. So through this model, we want those rural communities to stay back in the villages and take this model as a model for their development so that it generates employment for them, income diversification, because this model gives different opportunities for their income diversification, rural entrepreneurship, market access. So, how we will provide linkages for the rural agro products or for selling their handicraft, and cross cultural exchange, because we see tourism is such an avenue wherein people from different walks of life, different parts of the world exchange their knowledge, and just the balanced regional development will lead to the development of our country. So, why Telangana? We all know that India is so vast and diverse with such rich heritage of biodiversity and culture, starting from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, east to west. So, if I have to tell you the top five places that are in doing the best in tourism, it would be Sikkim, Kerala, Meghalaya, Andaman Nicobar, Uttarakhand. So each with their unique kind of richness. And I have chosen Telangana because it is the emerging 29 state and it has so many avenues. It has rich biodiversity, UNESCO heritage site, and I have chosen this place near the Amrabad Tiger Reserve where the Chenchu, the tribal indigenous community, is staying. And here I have come up with Tilham. So, what is Tilham? The Telangana indigenous the Telangana Indigenous Living Heritage and Ecotourism Mission. So, this living heritage, how it is integrated landscape for nature and culture. The forest and biodiversity is conserved, how villages live among the communities, how the community life is preserved, their culture and tradition, how agriculture and sustainable livelihood can be produced for the locals and for the tourists who are coming. The natural resources, we see climate change is a major issue in our country. So, by conserving our nature and biodiversity, our natural resources will also be conserved. And the kind of tourism experience that we want to give that has holistic services, that is the wellness, the learning and recreation, and all the services that are there. Then the research and innovation, how knowledge can be exchanged, the education can be exchanged, and what all kind of innovation that are there. So the methodology, the literature and content analysis, the kind of data resources that I've used. So I've gone through a lot of literature, the UN articles, different models of different countries, the government policies, and analyzed it based on SWOT and pastel analysis, the political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental aspects. So the global benchmarking and framework system, Bhutan, the high Bhutan, it has high value and low cost volume tourism strategy. This means that each visitor, each visitor who is coming is paying for their services uh, because they are conserving and preserving their natural resources. According to Costa Rica, it preserves all the natural resources, and the tourists and the hotel operators are given their certifications for biodiversity conservation, how they are engaging their visitors, and what kind of socio-economic impact they are giving. UN tourism, this is the guidelines for sustainable tourism, the sustainable development goals, the UNESCO heritage landscape, the conventional for biodiversity. And based on this, I have come up with the Tilham framework, the biodiversity conservation, the community prosperity, and the sustainable development goals. Now, this resides on the five capital framework, as I had mentioned before: the natural capital, the human capital, the economic capital, the social capital, the cultural capital. And this is the model of the tribal hut cluster, how we'll be using natural resources to build these clusters and replicate it, the eco huts, the forest commons, the resources being utilized, then learning under the tree, the art and craft, the community kitchen, the honey extractions, the medicinal plants, and how the Chenchu tribes will also be living. Just a minute. The Tilham tribal cluster. So here you can see uh, all the natural resources are being used for a sustainable model and the eco-friendly model, and how they have a common place wherein they share their resources and how and sustainable and integrated approach is used. So the impacts, the ecological impact, the social impact, the knowledge impact, the and cultural impact. So this will be developing in phases. So first, the surveys, the focus group discussion, the partnerships, and then developing the infrastructure, the capacity building, the ecosystem restoration and pilot projects. Then finally scaling this, strengthening the livelihood in the next phase, knowledge sharing, then integrating market linkages, ecotourism, digital outreach. And by 24 months, this will become a self reliant project, continuous learning and innovation. Together, we create a legacy of harmony. So, this is a kind of moment for tourism wherein we'll have thriving ecosystem, empowered communities, knowledge for tomorrow, cultural pride, and sustainable prosperity. So, anyone who wants to partner or collaborate, be a supporter for this, or advocate, or be a volunteer, be a chain maker for this sustainable future, can join us for this. So I really had 70 references, but I have quoted the top five references from here. Bhutan and Costa Rica being among the two, because though these are very small places, but have made tourism as a model to be replicated in other countries. Thank you. If you have any questions, you can let me know.